To be a thug, to be a gangster, to be a rude boy, to be a don. It is a part of the Jamaican culture. Just like gone on YouTube, to give your brain some new food. Hello people, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on the channel, a special welcome to you. I ask that you check out the rest of my videos. If you like what you see, give them a thumbs up, leave a comment, but more than anything, I'm asking that you subscribe to the channel. I recently came across an article that named 9 of Clarendon's most wanted men, or I should say Clarendon's 9 most wanted men, which I personally thought should have been called Clarendon's most wanted men stroke boys, because most of them are boys. So the 9 most wanted men in Clarendon are George Francis, aka Wentico. He's wanted for rape and grievous sexual offenses. Dwayne Butler, aka Tez, he is 42 and he's wanted for murder. Steve Leonard Francis, he is 37. He's wanted for murder and what I believe to be grievous bodily harm. Next on the list is Fitzroy Andre Core, aka OJ. He's 25. He's also wanted for murder. Following him is Leon Rose, called Hitler Diggs. He's 25. He's also wanted for murder. Following him is Zemar Andre Nelson, aka Nelson Dylan or Terminator Boy. He's 24, wanted for murder and shooting with intent. Following him, there is Panish Broomfield, aka Chang. He's 23. Wanted for shooting with intent and robbery with aggravation. Romaine Murray, aka John Tom, he's 18, wanted for 2 counts of shooting with intent. And last on the list is Antony Powell, aka Neville. He's only 16 and wanted for murder. This list surprised me in some areas and fascinated me in other areas. The part that surprises me the most is the age range of these wanted men stroke boys. Okay, given a 42-year-old, a 37-year-old, and a 25-year-old, it's fair to call them men. 24, 23, 18, and 16, they're barely developed. Those are the ones that surprised me the most. I mean, let's speak in layman terms here and legal terms. We know that legally, over the age of 18, you are considered an adult legally. But outside of the legal realm, an 18-year-old is still a child. Most human beings are not quite developed until they have lived 30 years on this earth. And some of us, we can't put them on an equal scale here, because some people develop more than other people. But we can't generalize in legal terms. So legally, you have to say all 18-year-old and all 21-year-old are adults legally. So at 18, one is considered to be at the first phase of adulthood. But in most countries around the world, it is only until you're 21 years old that you're truly considered a legal adult. However, even though it's considered a legal adult, general knowledge have proven that many human beings, even after attaining the age of 21, they are still childlike. Their mind are yet to be developed. But to some advantage and some disadvantage, governments of the world note 21 years old to be legal. So on this list, the 16-year-old blew my mind. I mean, a 16-year-old that's wanted for murder, that's just crazy. But that's Jamaica for you. We must admit and embrace our good with our bad. And one of the bad about Jamaica is that badness, as we call it in Jamaica. To be a thug, to be a gangster, to be a rude boy, to be a don. It is a part of the Jamaican culture, and it is as sensationalized as anything else in Jamaica. Badness is sensationalized just as much as tourism is. Badness is sensationalized in Jamaica just as much as reggae music and dancehall music is. Speaking of dancehall music is actually the flagship of badness promotion in Jamaica. In most of Jamaican dancehall lyrics, not all, most of Jamaican dancehall lyrics, badness is promoted. It's idolized, it's sensationalized, it is enriched with lyrics in dancehall. And as long as this continue, you will always have cases like this. I'm not so sure about always, because I'm not quite sure. I don't know. It's kind of new to me that a 16-year-old is wanted for murder. But when I thought about it, and I thought about it on a wide scale, I thought, well, the more things change, the more it remains the same. When I was a child in Jamaica, I remember only businessmen could acquire a firearm. You'd have to have some business, some company. You'd have to have like a genuine or a substantial reason to acquire a gun. I must have slept under a rock, because when I crawled out from under my rock, Jamaica had what we call now the FLA. The FLA, I don't know if it's long existed, but one thing I can tell you, even if it had been long existed, it was unknown to the likes of me. Maybe it was already existed and in a smaller, minute level, where say a businessman wanted a gun, he would have to go to the police station or the relevant area where he can get a gun and get a license and so on. But overnight, Jamaica wanted to be like the United States of America, in my opinion, and now they have the FLA just as much as the United States of America has the NRA. The FLA, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It depends on which side of the fence you're on. Are you for guns or are you against guns? I've traveled around the world and I've had the benefits to see different cultures on guns. Let me use two countries that I've lived in where guns is concerned to show you the great difference when it comes to the United States of America and guns, and now Jamaica and guns. I've lived in the UK, where the United Kingdom, the police officers do not carry firearms. Only unless there's an extreme circumstances, you will see UK officers with firearm. But on a day-to-day basis, you do not see police officers in the United Kingdom with gun. What does that equal to? That equal to less gun crime in the UK. Gun crime is almost non-existent in the United Kingdom, because people are not freely allowed in the UK to have guns like they are in the US or in Jamaica. Switzerland is another country that I've lived in. However, Switzerland probably have the most guns per household than any other country that I know of. However, that being a fact, gun crimes in Switzerland is also almost non-existent. So what do you get from that? You get from one country that does not allow their citizens to freely go into shops and purchase gun, and that in itself is a remedy to no one being hurt by guns, no one meeting their demise by guns. And then on the flip side, there's a country which do allow its citizens to have guns, but at the same time, no one gets hurt by guns. So does that narrow down to human nature? Does it narrow down to the Swiss, for example? We have guns, but we don't see the reason why we should resort to gun violence. So that is kind of a different view of human nature. While in the UK, it's more like how you would treat a child, really. If a child is not given a dangerous toy, there is no risk of that child harming itself. So that in itself is one that could be debated, because in one country, there is no gun. That's all the problem. In another country, there is gun, but apparently these people are more responsible and not trigger happy, so no one ever gets killed. So you have to ask yourself, how relevant and how necessary are guns? And then again, I know most of my viewers will say it depends on the society that you live in. Yes and no, because people are people. and whether they are financially secure or they're starving poor, I still think people are people. Okay, if you're starving poor, it brings you more stress than, say, someone who's living comfortable. But let me hear what you guys think in regards to having guns from not having guns, or allowing people to have guns with the discipline of not being trigger happy. Or do you just believe that if the guns were not there, period, gun crime would be less? I'm talking about this subject, and I'm trying to be as passionate and as sincere in my opinion as possible. But at the same time, a part of me saying, as much as you're talking about this, I know the underlying truth in regards to crimes and criminals. Crimes and criminals in most societies of the world, in almost all societies of the world, are just as useful as any other asset. So I guess what I'm saying is crime serves a purpose. Countries that are fed with guns, especially to the youngsters, it is by design, in my opinion. I do have that feeling, that it is, that belief that it is by design. So you take one stone and you kill a dozen birds with it. For example, the person in front of the gun, that's one riddance, and the person behind the gun who ends up on the wanted list is going to either be in prison, or most likely in Jamaica, it's going to either be dead. Recently, I've seen a lot of videos, especially in the United States of America, where citizens and officers of the law are conflict, and I see people get shot and killed for nothing. Situation that could have just been handled totally different, or one could have been tased. It seemed as if they got the okay from their superior to just kill. It's like a tactic to lessen the population of the United States of America. However, that has been taking place in Jamaica ever since I was a child. 9 times out of 10 in Jamaica, when an individual is caught with an illegal firearm or it is brandished, there's usually no question. It's just a death warrant. That individual usually ends up getting killed. Let me know if that still goes on in Jamaica. Most gunmen in Jamaica never had the opportunity, especially if that gunman had the gun on him when he was apprehended, never had the opportunity to see due process in Jamaica. Before I close out, I have to address one thing, and that one thing that I do have to address is these youngsters. Are they being groomed? I understand that young minds are the easiest to groom, the easiest to hypnotize and tell them whatever you want them to believe. So at 16 years old, 23 years old, 24 years old, 25 years old, these are babies, you know, they are a puppet on a string. And are they being groomed? Where are the guns coming from? And what's the purpose behind the killing? Is it solely on the badmanism culture of Jamaica? Or do you believe that they are being, this is a question I'm asking, do you believe that they are being blindly groomed to eliminate others and eliminate themselves in the process? Because I'm just curious. I'm curious to know why a 16-year-old would be wanted for murder, or how did he get himself in that position in the first place? If it was in the United States of America, I would say, common assault, typical thing. But this is Jamaica. To me, it's new. I'm not sure if ever in the history of Jamaica there has been many 16-year-olds that are wanted for murder, other than badmanism being a part of the Jamaican culture. One thing that has long embedded itself in Jamaica has been foreign-minded. And when we say foreign-minded in Jamaica, even though there are 190 plus foreign countries in the world, we are only thinking of one country, the United States of America, American-minded. And the last time I was in Jamaica, as much as I saw Jamaica being developed to modernize itself with highways and byways and spaghetti junctions, etc., I couldn't shake the feeling or the vibe that of all the countries of the world that I've seen, it was looking more like the United States of America than any other country. Here's the thing, there are a lot of goodness about the United States of America, but there are also a lot of goodness about countries in Europe and countries in Africa. So I would prefer it if the Jamaican heads had viewed the whole world and take a little piece from the United States of America, a little piece from the UK, a little piece from Germany, a little piece from Japan, a little piece from China, a little piece from Singapore, and piece it all together and get a unique look of itself and not so much like America. It hurts me to see Jamaica trade its culture. So even though I have no control over this matter, it does bother me that we're losing our culture. Our culture is going poof, disappearing, and we're trading it for the United States of America. All of a sudden, overnight, Jamaica became a gun-craving, sneaker-wearing culture. That was never us. Badness was always around, but badness and gunmen back in my time as a child were mere political. It was mere political. If you went to school in Kingston, such as I did, you couldn't be no punk. People will test you. People will try to take your lunch money and this and that and so on. So you couldn't be soft, but at the same time, you would not ambition yourself to grow up to be a thug, a gunman, or anything like that. Country people, especially Clarendon people, when I was a child, Clarendon people would have never left Clarendon to Kingston because they had this concept of Kingston back then, that if you should take a bus from Clarendon to Kingston, as soon as you reach Parade, you're going to get shot and killed because Kingston were renowned for violence. But if you think about Kingston back then and you think about all capital countries of the world, Kingston was where it happened. Kingston was where the first wave of any news comes. So Kingstonians were more abreast to any level of corruption, any level of mistreatment to the citizen. So the fight and the crimes and the rebels were usually in Kingston. They had a cause to fight, and it's usually political. Country people usually get the news way after it's watered down. And country people, yeah, they used to be violent. They used to have their cutlass and their knives and so on and so forth. But it's usually domestic. It's usually a personal problem with them. And it was ignorance in the country why people didn't resolve situation in a civil manner. But today it seems as if Kingstonian has gotten more brighter. So the gods who used to move the strings for these puppets, realizing that, oh, we can't so much get the Kingstonian to walk the way we want to walk now. So let's take it to the countryside. People who lived longer than Kingstonian, people who were healthier than Kingstonian, people whose physique looked stronger and physically fitter than Kingstonian, because these were your authentic Jamaicans who didn't so much look any further than their parish. Kingstonians were the one that wanted to go to firing and wanted to be like this person and that person. But now it seems like the whole Jamaica has just lost its way. Country people are now having turf wars and killing each other, and you know, it's a sad thing for me to see. Will it get better or will it get worse? I don't know. From my point of view, like I say, the more things change, the more it remains the same. Anyway, people, I just felt like I needed to comment on this, you know. Not even sure if I covered a point, but I just had to get it out there because I saw the news and I was just thinking, wow, you know, Jamaica has lost its way or is losing its way. Let me know, and let me know what you think. And for all my other Caribbean people, let me know what it's like in your country. I would like to know what it's like in Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Vincent and the Grenadine, Guyana, Dominican Republic, Haiti. Talk to me. Let me know. Is the vibe the same? Is your people foreign-minded, and do they praise badmanism as the Jamaicans do? I'm curious, because as much as I'm from the Caribbean, I've not ventured to many Caribbean countries, to be honest. I've always just says, I've met a lot of Caribbean people who seem to have a lot of similarities, so I just assume that we are very much alike. But how much alike are we? I'd like to know. Anyway, people, that's pretty much it for now. Let me know what you think of this video. As you know, on my channel, I appreciate thumbs up and thumbs down, agreement and disagreement, because at the end of the day, people, each one teach one. You've reached the end of my video, and that in itself is a support that I truly appreciate. And while I'm at it, I will take this time out to let you guys know other ways that you can support my channel. The first and simplest way that you can support my channel is by giving this video a thumbs up. And the second and most important way that you can support this channel is by hitting that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel and follow me through my YouTube journey. Other ways that you can support my channel is by going to my Teespring online store and buying some of my merch. And another way that you guys can also support this channel is by joining me in Patreon to give me a contribution to support what I do on YouTube and what I do to entertain you guys. Once again, I want to thank you guys for your continuous support and ask that you join me, Ian T. Sebastian, on YouTube and see where my journey takes me. Until next time, people, peace.